Okay, good morning. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. If you have any props, that can be helpful, but of course, you can always do yoga without props. I have two blocks that I love to use, and a blanket, bolster, strap. You can actually use anything for a strap, like even a hand towel or, like a belt for a jacket. So, strap can be helpful. And if you have a tennis ball, I love to use a tennis ball for a bit of massage. So if you have any kind of ball, that could be helpful. So let's actually start out on our backs in what's called constructive rest pose. So you can lie back and you can walk your feet as wide as your mat. Allow your spine to lengthen on the mat. Allow your knees to tent together. Just allow your hands to either relax at your sides or you can place your hands on your belly. You might close down the eyes or soften your gaze. And just start to arrive in the present moment. You could start to allow the earth to support your weight, noticing if you can let go of all effort. And then start to notice if you have any intention for your practice today. And that could be something you'd like to cultivate or even something you'd like to release. As we're nearing the end of July, I do have this theme for class called Santosha, which means contentment. And Santosha is the second of the niyamas. And the niyamas and the yamas are yoga's ethical practices. And they're similar to like the 10 commandments of yoga. The yamas are 5 jewels that are basically yoga's instructions on how we can interact with the world. They include nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, non-excess, and non-possessiveness. The niyamas are how we can interact best with ourselves, and those include purity, contentment, self-discipline, self-study, and surrender. So this is the second jewel, Santosha, and I just have a few quotes from the book by Deborah Adele. We often ride the waves of emotional disturbances. Think of how often you feel upset, hurt, left out, not appreciated, put upon, etc. It's easy to give the power of our emotional state to someone or something outside ourselves. When we give away our emotional well-being to what others are saying and not saying, or how the day is unfolding, we are at the mercy of things beyond our control. We have allowed our contentment to be determined by what others say or do. We have made ourselves helpless. When we are hooked on our disturbances, we have tunnel vision and we regress to the level of intelligence of the emotional disturbance. When we are not hooked, we have access to a panoramic vision and we can see all the angles. We can see a clear win-win and create creative direction. There is a Japanese proverb that states, "The noise does not disturb you, you disturb the noise." What this proverb so brilliantly taught me is the reality that when I'm upset by noise, I am the one who's disturbing the flow of life, not the noise. So, how do we stay content in our life? Practicing gratitude protects us from our own pettiness and smallness and keeps us centered in joy and abundance of our life. When stimulations pull us and disturbances beckon us, it is gratitude uttered from our own lips that keeps us strongly rooted in contentment. Go ahead and allow yourself to let those words sink in as you settle in. And notice if the idea of contentment would be a good intention for your practice, or perhaps there's something else that brought you to your mat. And then you can offer yourself gratitude, allowing that intention to plant itself at your heart center. Allow yourself to dissolve any thoughts of the past or plans for the future. And then we'll invite some gentle movements into the body. You can extend your arms out to your sides into a letter T shape. And with your feet as wide as the mat, allow the knees to gently fall over to the left. And you might send your gaze over towards your right hand. Inhale to come back to center, and then exhale, turn your gaze over to the left as your knees fall over to the right. You can take a few rounds like this, gently windshield wipering the knees from side to side, allowing yourself to follow the pace of your own breath. And you might begin to lengthen the breath, breathing in and out through the nose. When you're ready and you feel balanced from left to right, we'll meet up in center. And you can extend your arms up towards the sky with the palms, imagining you could place your hands on the sky. So your palms are parallel to the body. With your next exhale, go ahead and bring your arms or your hands onto your opposite elbows. And then this time, as your knees fall to the right, you can draw your elbows across your chest towards the left. Inhale to come back to center, and exhale, we'll switch sides, drawing the elbows across the chest to the right as your knees fall over to the left. You can take a few more rounds just like this. Sending breath to any areas of sensation in the body. And just noticing with compassion and curiosity. Go ahead and take one more round on each side. And when you're ready, we'll meet up in center, taking your time, moving at your own pace, remembering that this is your very own practice. And so you can do whatever works best for you, and feel free to modify anything to your needs. If you have that block handy, you can bring it close by. If you don't have a block, but you have a pillow or a bolster or a blanket, you might like this for the next round of poses. So we're going to have the feet walked in towards the sit bones, still with the knees pointing up. With your next inhale, go ahead and allow the arms to lift, rainbowing overhead, reaching them up past the ears. On your next exhale, you can lower the hands down next to the hips. An option to press the palms next to the hips and maybe continue to roll up by bringing the chin up towards the chest, lifting the head gently off of the mat. We'll lower the head back down and then inhale to reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale to lower the hands back down, maybe lifting the chin towards the chest. You can take a few more rounds like this. Let's take one more round. And with your next exhale, you can plant the palms next to the hips. We're going to come up into bridge. And so you have the option of making this more active or more gentle. And that's where the block or the bolster could come in handy. So go ahead and plant your palms next to your hips. You can walk the heels in towards the sit bones. And then you can inhale to lift the hips. You can always stay here in bridge, continuing to lift, taking strong, smooth, steady breaths. Or if you'd like to make this a little more supported, you could bring the block underneath the sacrum and allow the sacrum to rest on the block. If you don't have a block, but you have a blanket or a pillow, you could also use that. I could use the bolster. It's going to make it a little bit softer on your low back. So this is a nice gentle inversion, allowing for a little bit of the reverse of the flow of gravity in the body, or the flow of circulation, I should say. If you'd like to make it even more of an inversion, you could lift the legs and go ahead and point the heels and the feet up towards the sky. Maybe you rotate the ankles a little bit. Allowing the chin to gently tuck towards the chest. You can feel the support of the earth. These gentle inversions are good for reversing circulation, allowing the lymph to drain. Whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and land the feet back on the mat. And then pressing into the heels, you can lift the hips and remove your prop. Go ahead and lower your heels back down to the mat. And then we'll draw the knees in towards the chest. And this is where I like to use a strap to wrap around the shins. Of course, you can always use your hands to draw the knees towards the chest. But this can be nice to give you a little bit extra length if they're feeling a little far away from you. You might gently rock a little bit side to side. And then we'll start to draw a circle with the knees, feeling a massage all along the low back. And when you're ready, you can reverse the direction of your circles. And when you're ready, we'll come back to neutral. And then we're going to do just a little bit of gentle core strengthening here. So if you have any props on your next to you, you can move them out of the way. Go ahead and plant the palms next to your hips, and with your knees drawn in towards the chest, we're going to allow them to float over to the left together, and then allow them to hover there. So you're using the strength of your core. Inhale to come back to center, and then exhale, allow them to hover over to the right. And go ahead and just take a few more rounds like this, gently allowing the knees to oscillate side to side, hovering them over to the side. And if you feel that you would like to make this a little more challenging, the next time your knees come over to the left, you could kick the right leg out long. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale over to the right. You might kick the left leg out long. Just taking a few more rounds like this. And then the next time your knees come over to the left, you can leave the knees stacked and allow the feet to land, or the legs to land. So we're coming into a twist. Go ahead and lengthen your arms out wide to the side in your twist with the knees stacked. You might send your gaze over towards your right hand. And you can feel free to stay right here enjoying the twist. Or if you'd like to do a little bit of strengthening along the side waist and the obliques, you could bring the hands to interlace behind the head. Maybe you take a moment to pause here and use the thumbs to massage the base of the skull and the base of the neck. And then if you'd like to explore a little bit of strengthening of the obliques, you can start to exhale and pulse the nose up towards the sky. Inhale to gently release. Exhale, pulse the nose up. And just feel free to take a few rounds like this. And remember that this is your own practice. And so you could always skip these options. Just relax into your twist, or to continue to massage the base of the skull if that feels good. Whenever you're ready, you can relax that effort. Continue to spread the arms wide to the sides. And then on the next exhale, we'll float the right hand up and over the body. Reach the fingertips past the left hand. And then inhale, you can glide the right arm open across the chest. Exhale, float the right arm up and over. Reach it past the left fingertips. And then inhale to glide the arm back open across the chest. And you can follow the fingertips with your gaze. Let's take 3 more rounds like this. On your last round, we'll stay on our left side. And you can move your arm up so that your left bicep is underneath your head for a little pillow. Could also bend into the left hand and cradle your head on your hand. With your knees stacked over to the left, you can anchor your weight a little bit with your right hand out in front of you. We'll glue the heels together and then take a few rounds of lifting and lowering the right knee. Finding some strength in the outer glutes. This movement was recommended to my daughter because she was experiencing some knee pain, and the physical therapist said if she strengthens her glutes doing some clamshells, that can be helpful for supporting the knee. So once you find that you've had enough strengthening on this side, take as many or as few rounds as feels good to you. Well, go ahead and pause. You might take a moment to maybe give yourself a little massage on your glute, pounding with a fist gently. And then we'll glue the knees together and begin to lift and lower the heel. Finding some strength in this internal rotation. And then when you're ready, you can come back to stillness, and we'll slide the knees down. So now the knees are parallel with the body and the feet are kicked back at 90 degrees. You can allow the right knee to come down in front, and your left knee is basically still in line with the body. You, with your hand cradling your head, your left hand cradling your head, you can start to slide the right arm open, the chest open. So you're coming into another kind of twist. Maybe you allow that right hand to come down towards the mat, or you might reach it down to grasp hold of the left foot. And just allow yourself to relax in whatever form of twist feels good to you. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then whenever you're ready, we'll release the twist, stack the knees, roll back onto the back. And you can take a nice deep breath, maybe take one more bridge pose, walking the heels in towards the sit bones, lifting the hips. And exhale to gently lower the spine back down one vertebrae at a time. I'm just going to swivel over to the other side so that you can see me so I'm not facing away for our twist. We're going to get ready for that same sequence on the right side. So from here, you're going to allow the knees to stack over to the right. Extend the left arm out wide to the side, coming into your twist. And you're welcome to stay in this twist, or if you'd like to do the oblique strengthening we did on the other side, you can interlace the fingers behind the head, and the thumbs might be at the right position to once more massage the base of the skull. You're always welcome to stay in this twist, or you can begin to pulse your nose up towards the sky, just following the pace of your own breath. After a few rounds, whenever you feel ready, you can release that. Extend your arms out into a letter T shape. And then we're going to find that swivel with the arms. So you're going to reach your left arm up and overhead, rainbow it over, reach it past the right fingertips, and then inhale to glide the left hand along the chest, reaching it back out into a twist. Go ahead and follow the pace of your own breath to take a few more rounds like this. You can go ahead and take 2 more rounds. And then we'll remain on our sides, and you can swivel your right hand up so that you can use your bicep as a pillow, or you could even bend the elbow and use your hand to cradle your head. With your knees stacked, we'll begin to lift and lower the left knee for a few rounds of clamshells on this side, finding some strength in the glutes. Allowing for a smooth and steady breath. And then whenever you're ready, if you feel complete on that side, you can go ahead and pause for a moment, massaging the hips. And then go ahead and leave the knees stacked, and we'll lift and lower the left heel. And then whenever you're ready, you can come back to stillness, and we'll slide the knees down so that now they're parallel with the body and your heels are kicked back. You can allow the top knee to come down in front, and then cradle your head in your right hand as you open the chest for your twist. Maybe it's convenient to reach down with your left hand and grasp your right foot. And if that's not working, remember you have options. You can do whatever feels best for you and your body. Take a nice deep breath here. And then whenever you're ready, gently release the foot. And we'll stack the knees and roll onto the back. This time with your knees wide, you can walk your hands up your legs onto your ankles or your shins, or maybe onto your feet, drawing your knees towards your armpits for happy baby pose. You can gently rock a little bit side to side, massaging the spine. And then we'll release the feet, and you can bring your hands onto the back of your thighs and start to rock and roll up the length of the spine. Whenever you're ready, you can rock up to a seat, and then we'll extend our arms out long for a boat pose. You can take a lot of different variations of boat. You could stay right here, or you can bring your hands onto the back of your thighs and maybe begin to find a little bit of balance, strengthening in the core. Whenever you're ready, you can land the feet, and we'll slide the hands back, resting them underneath the shoulders. You can walk the heels in and then push the hips up for altar pose. Take a nice deep breath, and then with your exhale, you can sweetly lower your hips down, and we'll find a comfortable seat, Sukhasana. So It can be helpful in your seated position to find either a blanket or a bolster to sit up on. So I like to take a blanket, I have this yoga blanket, and fold it into a little cushion and then slide it underneath the seat just so that the sit bones are cascading off of the edge of the blanket. Once you come into your comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you, you can begin to settle the eyes, settle the shoulders, and then we'll practice what I think is called Sitali breath. This is something some of my teachers have introduced in the hot weather. And this is a cooling breath. So you'll inhale through the mouth, imagining you're drinking the air in through a straw. So you can either purse the lips like you're giving a kiss or drinking through a straw, or you can also curl the tongue if that's available to you. So we start to drink the water in slow, or the water, no, the air in slowly. And then exhale, you're gonna close the lips and gently exhale through the nose. Inhale the cool air through the lips. And then exhale through the nose. Go ahead and take a few rounds of this breath. And that might be a nice resource for you today in the hot weather. Whenever you're ready, you can release that breath. And then with your next exhale, allow the chin to bow towards the heart. With your next exhale, you can release your right ear over towards your right shoulder. And maybe here you start to gently nod the head yes. And then gently shake the head no. And then we'll come back to center, allowing the head to gently bow towards the heart, allowing the chin to trace the front of the chest. Take a deep breath here, and then with your next exhale, you can allow the left ear to fall towards the left shoulder, finding length all along the right side of the neck. Maybe you gently shake the head no. And then gently shake the head yes. And then with your next exhale, you can come back to stillness. We'll allow the chin to trace the front of the chest. Allow the head to bow towards the heart. And then imagine you have a big clock in front of you. We're going to allow the head to gently rotate from 5 o'clock, past 6 o'clock, to 7 o'clock. So you're just tracing a little semicircle with the nose. Maybe you'd like to make the semicircle a little bit bigger and you extend to 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And then you can start to make the semicircle even bigger, extending up to 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And perhaps you start to go now round it up to 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Maybe you inhale as you lift the nose, exhale as you lower. Can you reach it up to 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock? Feeling all the areas and the movements of the neck. And then let's go back the reverse direction. So from 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock, you can lower it down to 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And then 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And then finally 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And then 5 and 7. Until you come back to stillness. And then you can lift your head back up to center. Let's go ahead and inhale and roll the shoulders now. Roll them up towards the ears and exhale. Allow them to cascade down the back. Sending breath into the shoulders. Maybe you begin to oscillate one shoulder at a time. And then we'll reverse the direction of our shoulder rolls, bringing the shoulders up from behind and down around in front. And then we'll sync the movement up together so you can draw the shoulders to kiss at the back. Inhale them up towards the ears and exhale, allow them to cascade down in front. Take a few more rounds like this. And then when you're ready, we'll meet back in center. You can bring the hands to meet at your heart center. Interlace the fingers and then press the palms forward as you round the spine back. On an inhale, we'll lift through center, bringing the palms up towards the sky, straightening the spine. And then with your next exhale, you can turn to the left and release the right finger down to the left knee and the left hand behind you. If you have a block, it can be helpful to bring the floor up towards you. So I'm going to bring the block behind me just to have a little bit more leverage and height for your left hand. On the inhale, lengthen the spine. On the exhale, allow the twist to go a little bit deeper. And then with your next exhale, you can allow the chin to trace the front of the chest and turn just the gaze behind your right shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here. And then with your next exhale, you can unwind your twist coming back to center. We'll interlace the hands at the heart once more, and you might try interlacing them the opposite way. Press the palms forward as you round the spine back like cat pose. Inhale to lift the hands up overhead, and then you can turn your torso towards the right, releasing the left hand onto the right knee and the right hand behind you, maybe on a block. Send the gaze behind your right shoulder, and with each inhale, imagine you can lengthen the spine. And each exhale might allow you to twist a few more millimeters to the right. On the next exhale, you can allow the chin to trace the front of the chest, bowing your head towards your heart, and then turn the gaze past the left shoulder. With your next inhale, we'll come back to center. And then you can either stay seated. If it's hard to be on hands and knees, you might try, we're going to do cat cow. So you can either have the option of cat cow on your seat. So if you're doing it seated, you can bring your hands onto your knees or your shins. And then inhale to reach the heart forward. Exhale to round the spine back. If you'd like to do cat cow on your hands and knees, you're welcome to find extra padding for your knees. And then you would stack your knees underneath your hips, your palms underneath your shoulders. And you can either tuck the toes under or untuck the toes. Sometimes I like to have the toes tucked under because it feels nice on my feet. On the next inhale, you would drop the belly for cow pose, lift the heart. Exhale to round the spine for cat. So take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. It might feel good after a few rounds to start to draw a circle with the belly button. And you can, of course, do that in your seated position too. Imagining you are drawing a circle on the inside of a hula hoop. If you find any places that feel particularly good or needing of special attention, you're welcome to hold that space for a round of breath or two. And then whenever you're ready, you can reverse the direction of your circles. And then when you're ready, we'll meet up in a neutral spine. And we'll get ready for child's pose. So if you're seated, you can always come to any position that feels good to you. If you'd like to try child's pose, you can walk your knees wide, bring your big toes to touch, sink your hips back, and walk your hands out in front, lowering your forehead down to the mat. Allow any tension in the body to melt off of the back, just like water coming off of a duck's back. You can imagine that tension and the droplets of water as something that you don't need that can also nourish the earth. Sometimes when we can let go of things that don't serve us, they can be useful for something else, beneficial for another. Whenever you're ready, we'll come back to hands and knees. And we're going to be making our way onto our bellies. You have the option to take a forearm plank on your way down to your belly, or you can skip that. If you'd like to take a forearm plank, you can come onto your forearms and then extend the right leg back. tucking the toes under, maybe extending the left leg back. And you're always welcome to lower onto the knees for a little more support. Feel free to take this forearm plank, and I'm actually going to move my blanket out of the way so that I can come to lying flat on the mat. So however you feel, you can come down onto your belly. We'll bring the elbows under the shoulders and press into the mat. You can begin to drag your hands back towards the heart energetically and reach the heart forward for a little back bend, Sphinx pose. Take a nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and stack the palms, allow the elbows to come out in front, and lower your head to the back of your palms for crocodile pose. As you rest here in your crocodile pose, allow the breath to fill the whole back body, filling up the back, our seat of self-care. And this is a really good breath practice in crocodile pose for when you have times of anxiety. You might remind yourself that you can come to this pose and focus on self-care by allowing the breath to breathe into different areas of the body. Sometimes we can neglect this back part of our body. If it would feel good, you could bend the knees and gently allow the feet to windshield wiper from side to side. After your next round of breath, you can lower the feet back down to the mat. We'll slide the hands behind us, and you can turn your gaze over towards the left, and maybe you can allow that right temple to reach the mat. If you're having a hard time with getting that temple down towards the mat, you could tuck your toes under and slide your chest a little bit back, so you're sliding your body forward, and that might make a little bit more room for your temple to reach the mat. On the next inhale, we'll bring the gaze back forward, lift the hands, lift the heart, and lift the feet for locust pose, using the strength of your spine to lift you upright. Imagine you're flying above the earth, floating like a superhero. Take a few rounds of slow, steady breaths here, balancing on the belly. And then on your next exhale, you can soften all of your effort. This time you'll turn the gaze to the right, allow the left temple to reach towards the mat. Soften all of your effort and allow yourself a moment to delight in this time of rest. Feel the earth rise to support you, and feel the weight of gravity hugging you to the earth. And then you can clear any props out of the way that you might have at your sides. We'll bring the arms out beside us in a letter T shape. You can creep the left fingertips behind you as you roll onto your left side, opening through the heart and opening through the chest. Allow your head to rest on the mat, and you can either leave the legs stacked here, or you can bend into the right knee and place the right foot behind you if you'd like to deepen the stretch. Maybe it's enough sensation to leave the legs stacked. Neither option is better or worse. It's just whatever is working for you today in your body. Take a nice deep breath here. And then with your next exhale, we'll roll back onto the belly. And then you can extend your arms into a letter T shape. And this time we'll walk the right hand directly behind you as you roll onto your right side. You can soften your head down towards the mat and leave the legs stacked here. Or if it would feel good to deepen the stretch, you could bend into the left knee and plant the left foot behind the right leg. Notice where you have sensation in the body and send breath into that area. On your next exhale, you can roll back onto the belly. We'll plant the palms underneath the shoulders, and you can press up through table or plank and either find child's pose, or if you'd like, you can take a downward facing dog. So if you're going to come into downward facing dog, you can bring your palms a little forward of your shoulders, tuck your toes under, and press your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Maybe take a moment to pedal your heels towards the mat, sashaying the hips a little bit side to side. And if you're in your downward dog, let's go ahead and come back to hands and knees. And if you're in your child's pose, you can lift up into hands and knees. We'll walk the knees a little wider than hips distance. And then you can inhale to reach the left hand up towards the sky, rotate the heart open. And then on the next exhale, you can slide that hand under to come onto the shoulder for thread the needle. Allow the temple to rest. And you can continue to support your weight here with your right hand. Sending breath into the shoulders, into the back. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then with your next inhale, you can press into the earth with your right hand, open up through your left side. And then we'll exhale to switch sides, planting the left palm underneath the shoulder. You can inhale to open the right arm up towards the sky. And then exhale to slide the hand under, coming onto the shoulder, softening the temple towards the mat. And you can continue to support your weight here with your left hand. Finding a twist. Take a nice deep breath. And then whenever you're ready, we'll press into the left palm. Inhale to open up through the right side and exhale to release. We're going to be coming onto our backs next. And if you have a block or your tennis ball, you can use this for a little bit of self-massage. You can always skip this part though if you don't have these props. If you have a tennis ball, you're going to come back into your constructive rest pose. So come onto your back And then you can slide your knees and your torso over to the right and find a place with your left hand behind you where you can place the tennis ball in between your shoulder blade and your spine. And it might feel good here to just relax onto the ball, or you can bring the knees back up to center and just begin to massage along the spine, not on the spine, but directly, but just next to it. Really love that space in between my shoulder blade and my spine. That's what I like to go to massage for, but it can be nice if you have a tennis ball. So you can take a moment on the left side, and then when you're ready, you could always roll over to the left, remove the ball first, and then find that same spot on the right side. And if you don't have a tennis ball, but you have a block, another nice massage would be to take the block on the medium setting right at the base of the skull. So I have the edge of the block on the base of the skull, and just allow yourself to gently rock from side to side using the block to massage the base of the skull, right where your neck meets your skull, that soft place. So feel free to explore any bits of self-massage. Some people like to use the tennis ball on their hips and sacrum. I'm not as much of a fan of that personally, but whatever might feel good to you and your body. And then we're going to be moving towards our final resting pose, Shavasana. If you have a wall space that's handy and you'd like to do a gentle inversion of legs up the wall, that can be really nice, especially for the heat. I noticed that in the heat, especially if I have any sugar, my legs can kind of swell a little bit. And so legs up the wall or even on a couch cushion can be really helpful and a nice way to reverse the flow of circulation in your body. So if you have a couch, I don't really have a wall accessible, but you use the same idea. So you can bring your hips up close by extending them into a letter T. So your whole body is in a letter L. So I have my hips right against the couch, and then you can swivel up so that your legs are either resting on a couch, or if you're at a wall space, they would be extending up the wall. If you'd like to try a figure 4 with the assistance of the wall or the couch, you can slide your left ankle onto your right thigh and then draw the right leg either down the wall or to the edge of the couch cushion. And this could be a nice stretch for your outer left hip. You can, of course, do this on your back without the assistance of a couch or a wall. And then use your arms or a strap to draw the shape into the body. But I like to do it with assistance because then you can really allow your top half, your torso, your arms and shoulders to rest heavy on the mat. So you might take a few rounds of breath in your figure 4. It can be helpful to flex the toes towards the knees. And then whenever you're ready, you can switch sides, extending both legs onto the couch or up the wall, and bringing the right ankle on top of the left thigh, and then either sliding that left leg down the wall or to the edge of the couch, or just drawing the shape into the body, interlacing the hands behind the back of the left thigh. Allow yourself to soften. Noticing how you can balance your effort and your ease. And as we're getting ready for our final resting pose, Shavasana, you can either settle into legs up the wall, legs up the couch, or you might even come back to your constructive rest pose on your mat, or feel free to lengthen your body onto your mat. So, whatever feels best for you, we're going to spend the next few moments in our corpse pose, our final resting pose, and revisit the idea of our intention for our practice, which may have been santosha, contentment. The Buddhists speak of developing an abiding calm, a centeredness that is unshakable, like a tall tree so rooted in the earth that great winds cannot topple it. This is the image of contentment. It means not riding the waves of the ups and downs of life. We stay in the abiding calm center that contentment invites us into. The practice of gratitude and non-seeking can help us stay rooted in this jewel. Building contentment with boredom, sadness, impatience, depression, disappointment, and loss builds our ability to be that tall tree so rooted in the earth that great winds cannot topple it. Being content with our discontent is itself a gateway to the calm depths within. The paradox of not seeking contentment allows us to appreciate what we have. Swami Rama stated in this way, contentment is falling in love with your life. Contentment, or santosha, is performing duty and right action with pure joy. It is the true understanding that there is nothing more that can or does exist in this very moment. When we can purely be in the moment is complete. And just allow yourself to settle in here, finding gratitude for this moment as you softly and sweetly settle in and feel the earth rise to meet you. All the abundance available to you, allowing you to let go. You can smooth out your forehead, soften your eyelids, release the hinge of your jaw. Allow your shoulders to melt away from your ears. Notice the unique impression that your body is making on the earth. Imagining you are laying on a sandy beach. Feel the earth hug and support you. And then imagine yourself in the great expanse of the universe. What a miracle it is for us all to be here together in this time and place. You can begin to deepen your breath and start to invite some gentle movements into your fingers, into your toes, rotating gently at the wrists and the ankles. And then when you're ready, you might inhale and take a long body stretch, reaching your arms up overhead. If you're resting with your legs up the wall, you can roll over to one side. And if you're on your back, you can draw your knees towards your chest and roll over to a fetal position. Give yourself an opportunity to rest here for 2 more rounds of breath. And then whenever you're ready, you can gently begin to use the strength of your hands to press yourself up into a comfortable seat. Once you arrive in your seated position, you can circle sweep your arms up and overhead and exhale to draw them to your heart center. Allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's really an honor and a privilege to guide you through your practice this morning. Thank you all so much for being here today. Namaste. And just so you know, last week I did have to cancel class due to a family obligation, and I'm sorry for that. But they did extend the class 1 week, so we will have one more class next Friday. I'm gonna stop.